To SBR Forum Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are continuing our off-season NBA coverage right now with Anthony from SweetJones55.com. We've been doing a WNBA game previews with him for a while now, and now he tells me that there's this one specific team in the NBA for the upcoming season that he thinks is going to have a very good value on their futures odds. And when I hear that, I also think they're probably going to have line value in the opening week. So I'm very interested to see what Anthony has to say from SweetJones55.com. Anthony, thanks for being with us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Outside. All right, now we're finally getting video. Now we get to finally see what this guy Anthony looks like. All right, so Anthony, before we start, tell us a little bit about yourself. Plug your site. Tell us who you are. You're very well-respected NBA and WNBA capper, and give yourself a plug for a second.
Okay, well, my name is Anthony, and I'm SweetJones55 on the forums. My website is SweetJones55.com. Basically, I started out posting on the forums, as many know. The first year, I hit 60% in the NBA with a very large volume of plays. A lot of people said, like, it's impossible. You can't maintain that win rate, that it's just not possible in the industry. So I stayed on the forum for another year, and I actually bettered my win rate. I hit 61%. And that thread had 1.8 million views in a 9-month span, which is basically the most viewed ever sports betting thread for any sport. And I decided from there, you know, I had a pretty big following, and I was working very hard. So I decided that it was time to start a service and start selling my picks. It wasn't something that I had in mind from the get-go. At first, I was just, my friend said, hey, you're really good at NBA. You know, you pick winners. You should go on there and help people out and give your information out. So it wasn't something I ever thought I was going to do. It just kind of, you know, fell into place that way.
Do you have a model, or what is it that you do? How do you do so well in your NBA picks?
Okay, so no, I don't really have a model. It's more like based off like feel. There's a famous college basketball handicapper. His name is Alan Boston, and he's had a lot of success doing it kind of the same way as me. I'm pretty selective. I don't make a lot of plays in a season generally, so I've been able to hit 58% over the last 4 years, which is like the best transparently documented NBA win rate online. So I'm not making a ton of plays, which helps me with my win rate. But no, I don't have any models. It's mostly just tons and tons of hard work. Exactly. I watch NBA day, night. It's all I think about. I mean, we're in August right now doing a video, and the NBA is nowhere near, starting. And I'm already thinking about it, getting ready for the season, getting my mind wrapped around the league.
Well, when we first started doing calls, I instantly decided that I was going to give you the nickname of Homework. Do you have a nickname yet?
No, just
all right.
I guess everyone knows me as SweetJones55.
All right, consider Homework as one of your nicknames. That, I think, fits you very well. All right, because you definitely do thorough analysis. All right, so the NBA, you say there's one team in particular that you think has some value with their futures odds, is particularly good value with their futures odds to win to win their conference, to get to the NBA Finals. The odds I have here are to win the NBA championship, but I'm assuming that if there's a team that you think has value on their futures odds, that I always assume that means that they're also going to have some value probably on their lines, at least for the first few weeks, maybe for the first few months of the NBA season. Would you agree with that?
Not necessarily, because I think people are assuming this team is going to be very good, but I'm not sure that people realize how good they're going to be when it really comes to like the playoffs and winning a series. That's where I think the real value lies, would be like how far they're going to get when they get up against the elite competition. I think this team will be favored pretty good against most of the teams early in the season. There's always good situations with this team to take, and I'll talk about some of them later in this video, but I wouldn't say like you just take them every game, you're going to win early on. I have a couple of other teams that I think will be like that. But this team, no, this is a kind of a team that people kind of see coming, but I don't think they see them coming the way that I see them coming.
Okay, so I'm going to try to guess here. I have the odds that I have here are to win the title. So this is not necessarily what you're saying. You're saying that you like them more to win their conference. We've got Chicago at plus 1150. I'm thinking that might be one of them. Although they're they're kind of a favorite. They're the fourth choice. There's only 3 other teams with shorter odds. Then the Clippers at plus 1400, and then maybe Golden State 26 to 1, Memphis 35 to 1. Then Denver kind of surprises me. It's 65 to 1. I don't know. I'm going to predict that your team that you're going to discuss is going to be Chicago, 11.5 to 1 to win the title.
Oh, that's impressive. Yes, I'm going to be talking about the Bulls. This is a team that I think is going to make it out of the East and beat the Miami Heat, which is kind of crazy for me to say because I'm actually located in Miami and my team is the Heat. So, this is not a biased decision. The stadium is like 2 blocks away, but I like the Bulls to beat the Heat, and all my friends are going to kill me for this. But It's what I think.
So I guessed it exactly. Hey, Anthony from SweetJones55.com. Little Loshak over here is not too shabby himself. Not too shabby himself. All right. So so tell us a little bit about why you think the Bulls are a good bet to get to the finals.
I think when you look at their team, they kind of they have the best all-around team. So you look at like each player individually. I'll talk about first. You know, they got the point guard Derrick Rose. He's an all-star. He was an MVP. People are saying, oh, he may not be as good this year, but I still think he's going to be one of the better point guards of the league at the very least. During his MVP season, he averaged 25 points per game, 7.7 assists, 4 rebounds. He was top 10 in player efficiency rating. The guy hasn't lost any confidence. He still thinks he's, quote unquote, the best player in the NBA. He said that in an interview the other day. He was very careful not coming back, which is very rare these days. Everyone always comes back way too early.
Right.
Videos kind of popped up of him during the playoffs playing against his teammates, and he looked really good to me. He looked explosive. They showed him dunking the ball, and this was a long time ago. By now, he must, be looking even better. And there's a lot of speculation that he was really, really ready to go, but that the owner didn't let him go because of insurance. Kind of like the same reason that the Yankees aren't letting Alex Rodriguez play because they don't want to pay him because if he plays, the insurance doesn't cover it. The same kind of thing was happening with Derrick Rose. That's speculation. I don't know that for a fact, but I have a feeling that that's what was going on there with why he wasn't playing in the playoffs, because I think he was ready to go. With their shooting guard, Jimmy Butler, again, I think that's another guy. It's an all-star level player. He showed in the playoffs against the Heat. He averaged 16 points per game, which was more than, he was going up against Wade, and Wade was only averaging 12. His defense is incredible. He's only 23. He's getting better. He can cover all 4 positions because he's 6'7", 220 pounds. I think this guy's going to be an all-star in the next couple of years for sure. They also have Lil Deng, who's an all-star, 2-time NBA all-star. I feel like it feels like he's been around forever, but he's only 28, and I think there's a lot of room for improvement. They have Carlos Boozer, who's been an all-star, 2-time all-star, averages 16 points per game, 48% shooting, 10 rebounds. He's basically a double-double on that team. They got Joakim Noah, another guy who's an all-star. So that's 5 all-stars on that I see on that starting lineup. What other team can say that they have 5 all-stars starting?
Right.
Their bench, the benches don't really matter when it comes to the playoffs realistically. The team with the best starting 5 for the most part usually wins the NBA Finals, because you can run your starters just 40-plus minutes and it won't really matter the benches too much. But their bench isn't too bad anyways. They got Kirk Heinrich, they have Taj Gibson, they have Mike Dunleavy, they have Marquise Teague. Heinrich's a veteran who plays great defense. Gibson's instant energy off the bench. They signed Dunleavy, who I don't think will make a big impact in the playoffs because I don't think he's going to play very much at that point. But during the regular season, he'll be somebody that can help stretch the floor. And then their coach, Mike Thibodeau. I think he's one of the best coaches in the NBA. He has to be one of the top 2 defensive coaches. It's either him or Vogel. I think he's a great motivator. The Bulls always respond off a loss. Last season, without Derrick Rose, they were 28-15 off a loss. 2 years ago with Rose, they were 16-3 off a loss, which is the best in the NBA. And 3 years ago, they were the second best team in the NBA, going 19-7. So this team responds off a loss, and I think that's that's a big part of that is due to Thibodeau. And he's a workaholic, and I feel like that spreads to the rest of the team. Thibodeau, they say, works like crazy 24/7, and I feel like that spreads to the team. And he's a champion. He won with Boston as an assistant coach, and he just knows what it takes.
All right, but before we let you go, yeah, the Bulls are, they're not going to sneak up on anyone. So even though they might have some value on their futures odds right now, you don't think that's necessarily going to translate into line value in the first few weeks of the season?
It's been 3 years now that they're so good off a loss.
Right.
I think there's definitely very good situations to take them off a loss. Because all those numbers I was talking about were straight up. But I also think that, I know that this team is good against a spread off a loss.
Right.
The last 3 years. And even better when Rose was around. This last year, that wasn't their best year against a spread off a loss. They were still actually, they were better than 50%. But I think you can look for situations when they're off a loss, and they'll definitely respond. They're gonna try really hard. There's certain teams that aren't going to try very hard in the regular season. The Miami Heat, the Spurs. You don't really know what you're going to get on a night-to-night basis. I think the Bulls have something to prove, so they're really going to go out and give A+ effort every night, especially when they're off a loss. I think they're gonna really try to, even if the line's big, they're gonna try to pound the other team off a loss, just because that's the way that they are.
All right, Anthony from SweetJones55.com. Great info, great call as always. Liking the Bulls on their futures odds to win the Eastern Conference. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you again very soon.